Chapter 5 Paris by Bike. The next morning, Mom and I headed straight for the city. While we stood at the display case with the other customers, I snapped photos of all the assorted treats and their French labels. There was a creme brulee and a flan. There were Napoleons, that name again, eclairs au chocolat, and eclairs au café. There were madeleines, truffles, amandines, macarons, and tuiles, and tarts filled with chocolate, raspberry, and strawberry. And apple. I couldn't believe the variety. How how could I possibly decide? I closed my eyes and pointed. I opened my eyes to see what was just beyond my finger. When Colette asked for my order, I said the chocolate eclair, s'il vous plaît. Mom ordered 2 double-layer round cookies. Pistachio macarons, she said, as we took a seat at one of the little round tables outside. Not to be confused with macaroons, which are coconut cookies. These come in all kinds of flavors and colors and flavors. But they're always, as she took a bite and forgot the rule of not talking while eating, delicious. I bet they can't be an eclair, I said, still savoring my first bite of the chocolate top pastry with the creamy filling. We'll just have to trade bites to find out. After a bite of Mom's cookie, I couldn't decide. I declared it a tie. They were both amazing. When we'd finished eating, we headed off on the bikes we'd borrowed from Sylvie and Aunt Sophie. Armed with my backpack full of maps and my French-English dictionary, I had planned to take the lead. But the busy streets full of cars, buses, and scooters, and other cyclists overwhelmed me. So I followed behind Mom instead. I wasn't about to get lost in a foreign country. First stop, Mom said, the Eiffel Tower. To get there, we biked along the Seine. At first I felt stiff and nervous, almost as if I'd never been on a bike before. But then it all came back to me. Biking in Paris is totally the same as biking at home, but totally different. My legs found a rhythm, my shoulders loosened, my eyes adjusted, going from tunnel vision to seeing only what was directly in my path to seeing more of everything around me. Families with strollers, small dogs and big dogs, statues and fountains, and pigeons taking flight. Riverboats traveled up and down the Seine. Other boats were moored below us on the concrete river walk, or quay. Soon ahead of us, the Eiffel Tower loomed larger than life, reminding me that I was such a long, long way from home. As we backed towards the tower, I saw quickly that its base was way bigger than I'd imagined. The New England Patriots could play a football game beneath it. Languages and tourists from what seemed like every country swirled around us as we locked up our bikes. Then we joined a line of people at the base of the tower and waited. After going through a security check, we climbed the stairs to the second story and then rode the glass elevator to the top. The wind at the top of the tower was strong, blowing my hair sideways and whistling in my ears. I held on to the edge and almost dizzy with the height. Below us, throngs of tiny people biked, walked, or sat on park benches. Almost as if I had pressed the minus symbol on the computer screen, the city zoomed out into an ever-ending widening flame of buildings and streets, monuments, and neighborhoods. And we were high above it all. Click. I took a photo of the world below. Then I pulled out my travel guide as Mom and I took turns reading about the tower. I glanced down at the Seine, which wound its way through the city's center. I made mental notes about some of the fun things I might write later in my travel vlog, such as the Eiffel Tower wasn't supposed to stay. It was built as a temporary exhibit for 1889 World's Fair. It almost became a giant heap of scrap metal, but its use as a radio antenna saved it. Thank goodness. Painters used 3 shades of brown to paint the tower, and it took 60 tons of paint. With the city stretching out beneath us, Mom asked a woman, another tourist, if she would take our photo. Of course I take, she said in what Mom told me was later a German accent. Click. Before we went back down the elevator, we stopped at the gift shop. I added a tiny charm of the Eiffel Tower to my bracelet. The perfect first adventure. I sighed happily. The rest of my trip stretched out before me like a dozen silver charms yet to be discovered. Mom and I biked on, crossing a little bridge called the Pont des Arts, the Arts Bridge. On the railings on the side of the bridge, what looked like a billion padlocks were hanging. Gold locks, silver locks, pink locks, huge locks, and tiny locks. It was crazy. Mom, I don't get it. What's with all the locks? I asked, slowing down and straddling my bike. Well, she said as she pulled up alongside me. Couples started adding locks to the bridge as symbols of their love. Paris, you know, is called the City of Lights, but it's also called the City of Love. Around us, tourists snapped photos. Oh, so somebody started it and it caught on? She shrugged. I guess so. An idea flickered across my mind. Mom, you know how I mentioned how Ella and Maddie and I wanted to start a business? We gazed over the side of the bridge as a small boat motored beneath. Well, I said, I thought we'd start a dog walking business. I knew it was a good idea. But when I see these bridge with all these locks everywhere, it just proves how one idea can really take off. I mean, even the gift shop at the Eiffel Tower sold little locks. I didn't get why until now. You're right, Grace, Mom said. One idea can really grow. What do people call it when an idea takes off online? Mom rolled my eyes. I rolled my eyes. Mom, quit being a teacher. I know you know the answer already. It's on the tip of my tongue, she said with a smile. Viral, I finally said. Yeah, that's it, she said, as if she hadn't known. She pointed to my backpack. Better get a photo of us here, yeah? I'm on it, I said. I pulled out my phone, held it in front of us as the river as a backdrop. Click. Mom and I waited in line to get the tourist. I waited in line to get the tour to the towering Notre Dame Cathedral. Long-necked stone creatures and gargoyles looked down on us, their mouths wide open. Creepy, Mom said, gazing up. What do you suppose they're thinking about when they built those? This time, I was way ahead of her. Before falling asleep last night, I'd done some research in our guidebook. I explained that 800 years ago, Gothic buildings didn't have rain gutters, so gargoyles were built to spout rain. Plus, I added, people believe gargoyles kept away evil spirits. I think that they just give you bad dreams. Mom smiled. I agree. Wait, you knew that all already. You did that teacher thing again, didn't you? What? She gave me a wide-eyed look and crossed her arms. Okay, maybe I do that sometimes, she said. But I don't know everything. I snapped a photo of the gargoyles. Josh would like them. Click. Either way, I said, they're creepy and kind of cool. Inside the cathedral's shadows, rows of candles flickered. Sweet incense lingered in the cool air. Shafts of colored light filtered through the stained glass windows. It was easy to imagine how the author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame had been inspired by this place. I reached for my mom's hand and whispered, You know how Dad says stones talk if you listen? Yes, she whispered back. Well, I bet these stone walls could tell lots of stories. I was just thinking the same thing, she said. Makes me miss him and Josh. Me too, I whispered. For lunch, we headed back along the boulevard Saint Germain. Here we are, Mom said as we approached the cafe. Customers were seated across the front entrance, and the sign overhead read Café de Flore in a pretty scroll. It's one of my most famous cafes in Paris. Many famous artists and writers have hung out here. Customers have clustered at green tables with pinky green chairs. Mom made her way toward an open table, and I followed, careful not to trip on anyone's purse or cane. As I sat down, my stomach gurgled noisily. I was hungry, but when the waiter brought up the menu, nothing looked familiar. Want some help, Mom asked. I've got it. I had my French-English dictionary with me. I wanted to prove that I could order for myself. Everything else had gone so well today. I'd seen the Eiffel Tower, I'd been inspired by the Pont des Arts Bridge, and kept going with my dog walking business idea. I could certainly order my own lunch, as I really wanted a grilled cheese sandwich, but as I scanned the menu, none of the words made sense. When the waiter approached again, the menu blurred before my eyes. I just decided to put my finger on an item and order it, I said. S'il vous plaît, and then continued in terrible French. Ragout de lapin? The waiter smiled. Mademoiselle, you want rabbit stew? Oui? Oh, no, I said. No, not rabbit anything. S'il vous plaît. He pointed to the subtitles on my menu. The English words just below the French. Oh, I said, flushing. I'd been so flustered I hadn't even noticed. Then I remembered my manners and replied, Merci. I come back. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Relax, sweetie. It's all new, so don't be afraid to ask for help. When you travel, there are really no mistakes, just good learning opportunities. I exhaled and squeezed her hand back. Thanks, Mom. When the waiter returned with neatly folded white cloth over one arm, I ordered the closest thing I could find to a grilled cheese. A croquet monsieur. It was a grilled cheese with ham. It looked a little different from what I usually ordered back home. I wondered what it would taste like. I wondered if I liked the cheese, which had a name I didn't recognize, but I snapped the photo for my blog. Click! And I decided I was too hungry, but not to at least try it. I took a bite. One wonderful, amazing bite. My taste buds filled with butter, ham, and cheese that melted in my mouth. Delicious. I'd had to write about it. About the sandwich on my blog. As I gazed out at the sidewalk and its ever-moving river of tourists and Parisians, I could try to describe the sandwich, but it would never be the same tasting it here. On the streets of Paris, seated in an outdoor cafe with my mom. I guess there are some things you can't learn from a website or a book. Some things you'll just have to learn through experience. I gave my mom a thumbs up and took another big bite. That afternoon, we returned to our bikes. I spotted the little dog with the pirate patch sitting near the city. Mom, that's her, the one I told you about. Hello, little dog, I said softly. Oh, I've seen this dog before. It's a French bulldog. This one is a French bulldog. I crouched down and held in my hand. Careful, Grace. No matter how cute she is, we don't know this dog well. It's okay. Sylvie already knows her, and she's friendly. Just a little shy. At first. The little dog wagged her tail, took a few cautious steps, then stopped several feet away from me. What's your name? Where's your owner? I asked soothingly. She looked back at me with black button eyes. Mom, see, she doesn't even have a collar. She's a stray. Grace, I'm sure she has a home somewhere. But I wasn't so sure. Next time I saw this little dog, I'd have to put something in my pocket to give to her. Just as Sylvie had done. It was the least I could do.